And we are live.
Isn't it something, Facebook friends, when you know that we're on because you hear that melodious voice of the lady with the glasses, Miss Susan Geller, we are live. See, I can even do an invitation. You've done it so often. We're live.
We are live.
Dr. Pitts, don't I sound like her? We're live. I do a good invitation. Oh no, Andrea said no. And then Andrea shaking her head after she got
I wouldn't lie to you.
She got a soaking wet now out there. Who exercises in the rain? But she's like a drill sergeant, you know. I'm sorry, nothing stops us doing the daily dozen for health.
That's you.
She said, Dr. Pitts will agree with me. You got to keep the heart pounding and all. And so out there in the rain, soaking wet. Well, that's okay. Well, we're here and we're ready to come to you as we always are. And I always say that we come to you because we do care about you, our community, our Facebook friends, because you understand we want you to have a long, healthy, productive life with your loved ones. And in order to do that, we need to bring to you, take the effort, and we love doing it, to bring you health news, information about health that you can choose to live a healthy lifestyle, or if necessary, make informed healthcare decisions. And I have with me, as always, and now we have the one that had us doing the exercise in the rain, the hop, skip, and jump, the bend, knee bend, the push-ups and all like that. We have with us the executive officer, chief executive officer of New Horizons, Miss Andrea Winston. We also have Miss Susan Geller, lady with the glasses, and we have Dr. Nikita Pitts here. And this is going to be our pre-show. And I decided we have so many people that want to come on. I want to take about 15 minutes to do some things for organizations that are interested in helpful in the community. And one of the organizations, by the way, is my sorority, Chi Eta Phi sorority. And everybody said, Pops, you mean fraternity? I said, no, sorority. They said, no, men. I said, I belong. I am the only fratere with all of my marvelous sorors there of Chi Eta Phi, Kappa Chi chapter. And I keep telling people, they say, aren't you funny when you say no? I say, because you want to know something everybody knows. In the military, civilian life, it translates that I am an alpha male. So you see, I can go to the meetings. Right. I can go to the meeting, and now the colors for the organization are green and yellow. But I could go with wearing pink in a tutu, and everybody knows this Pop Barnes here. You understand? So the bottom line is the only organizations I ever belong to is the Army and Chi Eta Phi sorority, and I'm a proud member. And it's a international nonprofit professional service organization for registered nurses and student nurses, representing many cultures and diverse ethnic backgrounds, founded October 16, 1932, with the 100 graduate chapters and 41 undergraduate. And the president is Miss Monica Cannon here. And her mama, by the way, was a vice president, Daphne Cannon. She raised a good daughter. And so what they said, they saw Susan wearing red. They said, you've got to put in heart health, something with heart health. And I said, well, you want to know something? I'm going to do that. And so we're going to go through very quickly with the presentation. We're going to, whenever we have the pre-shows, we're going to try to keep it to about 15 minutes. So it says healthy hearts. And it says that there are 15,334,000 Americans have coronary artery disease. That's the most common form. Heart healthy lifestyles can help prevent it. Eating a healthy diet, being physically active 2.5 hours a week. And you know, that's something that anyone can do. Controlling your blood pressure and cholesterol, not smoking, please don't smoke. Reducing stress and getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And she has a source of the CDC Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance Survey. The next slide says National Health Education. It starts with something that says the Heart Truth Program. The Heart Truth Program says National Health Education Program that raises awareness about heart disease as a leading cause of death and motivates action towards a heart-healthy lifestyle. And it introduces the red dress, which is the national symbol for women heart disease awareness. And you want to know something? Women need to pay particular attention because women are caregivers and they're always looking out for others rather than looking out before they look out for themselves. And women don't always exhibit the same symptoms as recognized with males. And so women really need to make sure that they're such caregivers, they put themselves forward as well. Primary audience is women for red dress awareness, but we are also committed to educating the general public and tailoring information to populations disproportionately affected by heart disease. Go to our next slide. Our hearts are healthier together. Research shows if you join forces with people at home, at work, in your community, or online, adopting and maintaining heart-healthy behaviors, it is easier. And it is easier when you exercise with others and go on a wise food regimen with others. This American Heart Month focus is on self-care as heart care. You can do a lot to protect your heart and encourage others to join your efforts. Stay connected, motivate each other to be heart healthy together. And taking care of our hearts is self-care. Join us and inspire and motivate yourself and those you love to make heart health a regular part of your self-care routine. When we take care of our hearts, we set an example for those around us to do the same. And those are primarily our loved ones, our friends, the individuals that we work with, that we really want to make sure that they have a healthy heart and a healthy life. And again, I'm a member of the Chi Eta Phi Sorority Incorporated Kappa Chi chapter, and I'm a proud member. And I'd like to thank the sorority with the president, Mr. Monica Cannon, for offering this here on our show for our viewers. And we're going to do pre-shows to the show because so many organizations have such good information to give out. So I want to be able to thank the Chi Eta Phi Sorority, all my sorors, for allowing me the opportunity to bring this information to you. And now, and I see Susan's got the slide. Susan is just awesome. Today with your glasses, let's give her a round of applause. Hey, Susan! Susan! Okay.
Pops, that was
And now,
really good information.
well, I appreciate that, Andre. And you know, we're going through, as you can see through the news and all the things that's happening, this pandemic is putting a turbo on the stress level.
Yes.
And one of the most viewed of the presentations and the programs that we've done on Possible One's Health and Community Tips for the Week show is the one that Susan did on Okay Is Not to Be Okay. And there's so much going on. There's people who are waiting for the vaccine. There's food insecurity, which I'm going to have some people on, I think, next week to bring awareness. There's issues with seniors. It's affecting everyone. But the senior population is really being affected by a power of 10 during this pandemic. So I'm going to be bringing some individuals on. And I just want to let the community know that we're going to do Susan's show again because it was such a show that was so impactful. I got so many calls on because people need to know it is okay to feel stressed. It's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to feel like you're uneasy. And so I've asked Susan if she would do another show on this here because I think it's at this particular time that it is extremely important. So now with all that being said, and before I do everything, I'd like to have Ms. Andrea Winston say something, introduce herself about the marvelous organization I used to work with, New Horizons.
New Horizons.
Ms.
Thank you so much,
Winston.
Pops. Thank you so much. You know, Pops has us doing formation in the morning, like I said, before we start these shows. He runs a tight ship. You know, he laughs and plays, but I'm telling you, he is serious about this. So, you know, he had us together, and I hope everybody had a wonderful Valentine's holiday this past weekend and yesterday. I got a chance to spend some time with my family,
awesome.
And I think that Pops must have done a good job, you know, with his sweetheart at home, because I see he's not at the battered men shelter this morning, so I guess he did all right. And Susan, you're looking well, and you got on your red. So
my red, yes.
that's right. So I guess everybody did well for Valentine's Day, and really, you know, the topic that we're going to share this morning is so impactful. And please just let me take a minute and draw a parallel between the heart health and also just the general stress that's going on. I participate in the after hours on call number for New Horizons and for the community, for the hotline. And I'm just inundated with calls of people that are being stressed. Anything that people have is exacerbated right now. And just this COVID is going on a year now. And this is just unparalleled times that we're living in, with our lives have just been turned like on a dime. And so really pay attention to what's going on, even though your mind may not recognize it. There's been a new initiative called The Body Keeps the Score. And even though your mind may be aware of all of these things and pressures on you, the body is. The body keeps the score. And it's impacting your heart health. It's impacting your brain health. And so please be good to yourself and check on each other. And she's going to talk about today that it is okay not to be okay.
That's exactly.
And that there should not be any stigma or shame in that. So I'm really pleased for our organization to participate in helping people. New Horizons mission is building better lives. And we're really seeing that need having grown exponentially during these times. So thank you so much for this forum, Pops. And always, it's a pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you.
And Andrea, I just want to thank you, because I make it known that I used to work for you years ago. And I partnered with I've had so many people say, Pops, you know, why New Horizons and why Tree of Life? Because I'm a bona fide witness. These two organizations truly care about you. Not saying that others don't. I can't be with every organization, but I have decided these two organizations that I've known, that I've partnered with for years, I want people to know what they're doing in the community. And also, I want to give health information and community tips that are just good information for you to know. And so when I decided to do this program, I wanted to do the program with these two organizations. Everybody knows Pop Bonds, and I could have done it on my own, I know, but these two organizations here, I want people to know in this community what they are doing. And I always say that these two organizations, they're not that much concerned, and it takes money to run any organization, and definitely. And so I always ask people to, you know, what you need to do for the organizations that are helping you, you need to help them. How? You can volunteer, which helps them out financially. And then here's the biggest thing. I always allude to in the good book. Everyone's may be familiar with the good book, but the story of the widow's mite. The widow gave, and no amount is too small to help. And so I always encourage our viewers to help the organizations that are helping you, and New Horizons is one. Trust me, I know. And also Tree of Life Healthcare with Dr. Laurel Client. Dr. Nikita Pitts is away from the screen right now, but she is representing Dr. Laurel Client of Tree of Life. And they are the same type of organization that give out to the community, putting your health care and your mental health care first. And so with all that being said,
Yes,
I
sir.
see that the lady with the glasses,
She's ready.
has the slide up. And
I've
Susan,
got
give
the
that
slide up.
By the way, my viewing audience, this presentation is the most viewed. We have so many hits. We get so many views. It's just blowing my mind how many we get. And this is one of the most viewed right here. Is Susan's. Over months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, it was up to 1,600. Now it's past 2,000 now. There is Dr. Pitts. And Dr. Pitts, you were going to take care of your parents. You're such a good, Dr. Pitts, you are such a good daughter. Every parent should have a daughter, I'm embarrassing her, y'all. Every parent should have daughters like Dr. Pitts. And I don't want to get started on my past boss, Andrea Winston. You two are good examples of what you two are good examples of what the Lord said. Honor thy father and thy mother, and thy days will be multiplied upon us. So Dr. Pitts and Andrea, I know y'all gonna be live to about 100 and something, because y'all are good daughters.
Oh my God. It's a lot of work. I mean, you know, we do what we can, you know, and plus, and I have my brothers who help. So I can't share that alone, but it's work. All I can say is work.
And I'm going to tell you something. When May got sick, I tell you, thank God. And I did shut down, but it's something when you're a senior citizen. I'm a senior citizen, so I'm firsthand knowledge of what seniors go through. But we're going to stay on course. We got the lady with the glasses that primed with public health crisis. Susan, the ball is in your
Yes,
court.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Good morning, Facebook friends and family. And
Good morning.
once again, we're here to tell you it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way. There's too many resources out there for you to get the help you need during this COVID pandemic around mental health and integrated care. What I want to instill in you is the courage to have that conversation with your primary care physician when your mental health is not where you feel it should be, when you feel that your resiliency is starting to slip and your coping skills are beginning to falter. Reach out for help. Have that conversation of courage. The average life expectancy in the U.S. has been on the decline for 3 consecutive years, and this is attributed to what we call diseases of despair. There's been a rise in drug overdoses. There's been an increase in liver disease due to alcoholism, and there's been a rise in suicide rates. This 3-year decline is the longest consecutive decline of the American lifespan since 1915 and 1918, which included World War I and the Spanish flu pandemic. So diseases of despair are having an impact on our life expectancy. The COVID pandemic.
Susan, so you may be aware, that slide is not showing.
It's not? Okay.
And don't worry about it. If you can't, just go through the slides. The information is
I'll go through the slide. Are you seeing any slides?
Just the first one.
Okay, let me.
It's on the main. It's not on the slide view. It was just on the main view.
Okay.
Like we saw your whole screen.
Let me see if I can do this. Okay.
And that's fine. It just takes
now are you seeing it?
No, we see you right now.
You see me right now. Okay.
but you want to know something, Susan? I don't want to put you. Don't worry about it. Just read the slides. It's still good information. And you want to know something, and that's what we're all about right now. So don't worry about it. I don't want you to be on the hot seat.
Okay.
I see too many game shows when they say, for $45 million, guess this. I don't want you to be in that position.
Okay.
Oh, you got that slide up now. It's
you can
now.
see it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right.
The life expectancy.
The life expectancy and the diseases of despair. Okay.
Yeah.
I did something a little bit differently. Okay. So the life expectancy in the U.S. is declining because of these diseases of despair, which include drug overdoses from the opioid epidemic, the increase in substance use and alcoholism causing liver diseases, and the rise in suicide rates. Suicide is the number 10 leading cause of death for adults in the state of Georgia, and it's the number 2 leading cause of death for children ages 10 to 17 in the state of Georgia. And we don't talk about suicide. People talk about homicide, they talk about other, but homicide is number 16. Suicide is number 10.
That's horrendous. That is just so sad. And it's because of despair. And that's why something like this is necessary, to let people to be able to that don't think that they're going through these feelings, emotions alone.
Right. Now, did the slide change? Are you seeing the next slide? Okay,
yes,
fantastic.
You're just marvelous, Susan. You're marvelous, just like Andrea says.
Well, the COVID pandemic is touching all of us emotionally, financially, and socially. It's devastating to the country. Now, this slide is a little bit old because it has over 220,000 individuals have died from COVID. I believe right now we're approaching the 500,000 mark of individuals in the U.S. that have died from the COVID pandemic. And although coronavirus has directly affected the physical health of some 500,000 individuals, we have all suffered the emotional impact and trauma. And we need to prepare our health system for the possibility of a rising tide of those illnesses and death from those diseases of despair that I mentioned earlier in the wake of the COVID pandemic. Let's face it, we all turn on the news at night and it's just bad story after bad story, and we get inundated with that every day. We need to have a relief. Our resiliency as people is being tested, and we need to realize that it's okay to not be okay. It's just not okay to stay that way. Although the
exactly right.
Although the exact number is currently unknown, many more people are suffering from anxiety and depression as the result of fear, social distancing, isolation, and the widespread uncertainty due to the COVID pandemic than from the illness of the virus itself. More people are suffering from anxiety and depression than actually have COVID. And as the economic uncertainty continues, many more people will experience symptoms of mental illness and will need our help. As the stimulus checks and unemployment payments end, many businesses will not rebound, plunging some citizens into desperate situations. I heard recently that it might take until 2024 for our economy to recover. That's a long time to go with to face the economic uncertainty that we're all facing at this time. Some individuals may turn to alcohol and other substances as unhealthy coping mechanisms. They may find their resiliency is at end, and instead of doing those healthy coping mechanisms like Miss Winston does with the 20-mile run through the rain, that exercise.
50 miles.
And that is why I was good. We were talking about heart health, because my heart was pounding because she kept saying faster, faster, faster.
So there are healthy coping ways but some people turn to easier routes and turn to drug and alcohol, which are unhealthy coping mechanisms. And some individuals who are in recovery from substance use disorders may relapse, putting themselves at higher risk for overdose. Now more than ever, we need to understand that mental health is part of our overall health and well-being. I want to say that again. Mental health is part of our overall health and well-being. And integrated healthcare is caring for the whole person. We need to care for our physical health, our mental health, and if we have any substance abuse disorder, I say mind, body, and soul. We're 3 in 1, and we need to take care of all those aspects of our health to make sure that we are truly an integrated whole person.
And Andrea, please, I want you to make that comment about that sweet spot. You know, in sports, that's what they talk, the shot. They got that sweet spot.
That's right,
I want
Pop.
you to make a comment about that sweet spot.
The sweet spot. So many times people will just want to focus on the issue of health, but we've got to make that mind, body, and soul connection. The intersection between primary care, mental health, and substance abuse is that sweet spot. No longer should you have to go to a separate place to get your mind cared for. Our goal with our partnership of Tree of Life is to make sure that people can address all of these concerns at one place. And also, you know, people can also start with their primary care doctor. If you're, you know, feeling sadness, having crying spells, no longer enjoying things that you used to enjoy, don't feel the connection to your family, those are all warning signs that you can start by addressing your primary care with your primary care physician. But also you could come to us, and that's the sweet spot of our partnership with Tree of Life to address everything at one place.
And Andrea, that you could not have verbalized that any better, because that is something that I hope that our viewing Facebook audience and public audience and YouTube viewers realize that there is that connection. There is that connection, and a lot of times just rationally knowing it allows a person to do it.
That's right.
But not having the knowledge and making that connection, they just flounder. So I'm so glad that you said that.
And you can feel better. That's the thing about it. You can feel better. Like Susan says, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way. And there is help out there through therapy, through pharmaceutical interventions, or like my grandmother say, go get my pills, baby, you know, pills or whatever. So there is help out there. Yeah. So,
And there is help. And
And also, we
go
have
ahead,
to keep
Dr.
in
Pitts.
mind,
Go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry, just to keep in mind that it's a continuum. I mean, and nothing is like overnight. Okay, it takes time, and the stigma alone attached with mental illness prevents a lot of us seeking treatment. But you know, our bodies let us know when something is wrong. And you know, having to take medications, you know, people don't want to a lot of times, but in our brain we have neurotransmitters that help to stimulate so rather hormones that help to better stimulate our mood and our well-being, what we call serotonin. In some of the commercials you might see, what we call SSRIs, serotonin, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Those are types of medications. They're designed for a reason. It helps to increase the amount of serotonin in our bodies. And I'm not getting too much into this, but just to prove the fact or make a point that it's okay taking medication. And as Susan said, you know, it's okay to not be okay, but one of the ways to help to be okay is sometimes you may have to take your medicine. And, you know, pills for high blood pressure, whatever, for one thing, but there are those other pills too to help with our mood. So we just have to keep that in mind. You know, no quick fix overnight. You know, it takes time, but it's okay to take those medications.
Right.
We want you to.
And Dr. Pitts, those points are well taken, because a lot of people don't want to take medication. They feel stigmatized. And the one thing that's good about this program and about New Horizons is that it's informing people. And here's another thing, Dr. Pitts, that I found out. My people do perish. People do perish. All people, all ethnicities. We perish for lack of knowledge. So when you were talking about the SSRIs, people need to know that. The average person can identify with what you just got finished saying. It wasn't too lofty for them to realize, oh, there are things that are making me feel this way. It's not my fault. These things are happening here, and I can take medications to offset those things here to make me feel fine.
right.
So the bottom line is, I love your explanation, and I love what Andrea said about the sweet spot, and I love what Susan is doing, because we've got to make it real to people. We're giving them the information that they need to know. And we're doing them the best thing, because we're giving them what we know. People you love, you want to share to make their lives better.
Exactly.
And it sometimes can be caused by, you know, sometimes it's hereditary, that you're predisposed to depression or anxiety, but also the pressures of this life. Feeling trapped or feeling, you know, anxious will actually change your brain chemistry that Dr. Pitts was talking about. So it's just like, you know, other things, hypertension and diabetes. Those are not your fault. It's not your decision or choice to be depressed. It's due to these other influences, and that you can get help.
And that's exactly right. You know what I always tell people? When you see people get ready to point a finger, I want you to think, except for the mercy of God, so be I.
There's no I.
Except for the mercy of God, so be I. And so if individuals will think that, they'll realize that just like with diabetes, you have to take medication, just like with hypertension, so goes it with anyone who's having a problem with substance abuse. And as you said, Andrea, some people, genetics plays a lot in people's lives. That it could be a genetic predisposition. That person didn't ask for that. And so we all need to realize that we need to help each other. We're all in this blue marble together.
Right.
That's right.
We're all on this boat together.
That's right.
Yes. So we want to fully integrate mental health into personal wellness. We need to know the signs and symptoms, and we need to reduce stigma around mental health and addictive disease. I often say that the brain is the most stigmatized organ in the body. If you had a problem with your heart and the doctor prescribed you medication, you wouldn't have any qualms with taking the medication. If you had diabetes and a problem with your pancreas and the doctor prescribed you medication to take, you wouldn't have a problem taking it. Why would you have a problem taking medication that's going to help your brain when you're having signs and symptoms of a mental health, of mental illness? So we need to realize that the brain is just another organ of the body. Some people can be predisposed to anxiety, depression. It could be a genetic predisposition, just like some people are predisposed to diabetes or heart disease. So the brain is another organ of the body, and we need to stop stigmatizing it.
Exactly.
So you want to know the signs and symptoms of anxiety, depression, suicide, and substance abuse. Because if we know the signs and symptoms, we can do something about it. So let's do a real quick little mental health check-in. Anxiety is a normal response to a stressful situation. It is normal to feel anxious when there's a stressful situation going on. But when the stress is prolonged, anxiety may rise to a level beyond our individual coping skills and require medical intervention. Think about it. We've been social distancing, isolating, wearing masks since March of 2020. We have prolonged stress and anxiety around COVID. So some of us may be finding that our coping skills, our resiliency are beginning to wear thin. It's okay to seek medical intervention when your coping skills aren't enough for you right now. As far as depression, most people feel sad or depressed at times. Again, it's a normal reaction to loss or life struggle. To feel sad or depressed is a normal emotional response. But when the response becomes intense sadness, including feelings of helplessness, hopelessness, or worthlessness that lasts for many days to weeks, it may be something more than sadness. It could be clinical depression, a treatable medical condition. So it's okay to not feel okay. It's not okay to stay that way. And there is help and there are interventions that you can ask for from your primary care physician and also from New Horizons and our integrated healthcare programs.
Right. And Susan, this is a good point. This is a good spot for both organizations to give their contact information, because you're doing an excellent job in explaining that it's fine, explaining the signs and symptoms. But let's just take a time to say where they can call and contact New Horizons and Tree of Life. And Andrea, if you can give the contact information now, that would be good. Then I have Dr. Pitts give the contact information for Tree of Life.
Sure, Pops. You can reach me at 706-596-5582. And then, Susan, please share what our website is.
Sure. Our website is www.nhbh.org. That's for New Horizons Behavioral Health, nhbh.org. And our appointment line number in Muskogee County is 706-596-5500. And we are offering telehealth and telemedicine options at this time.
And Susan, also speak to how easy it is to call New Horizons, because you blew my mind. Andrea blew my mind when she told me that a person could call, zip, 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 bam. You understand? And they hook them up.
Yes.
So tell her, just take a moment, let people know, because sometimes a person's reluctant because they figure it's going to take a long time. They're going through things anyway. There's down. If they've never done it before, they figure it's going to be a very laborious thing or complicated. Let them know that they can dial that number and bip, bip, bam, they're good to go.
And that's it, bip, bip, bam. We've got a staff of 3 wonderful ladies that man our telephone response line, that's 706-596-5500 number. They'll talk to you for a few minutes because we have many programs at New Horizons, and they'll work to make sure that you get to the appropriate program for the needs that you're expressing over the phone. Within 2 weeks at the latest, you will have an appointment to see the psychiatrist. Sometimes it's within 24 hours you can get in for an appointment with us. So call that number. We have very caring ladies that answer the phone on the other end of the line. They're there to listen to your problems, to listen to what you're going through, and to make sure that we connect you to the appropriate level of care that you need for the situation you're experiencing.
And I know, Susan, and I want you to touch on it, a very important point, because I know at the various emergency rooms, I know that New Horizons have trained personnel on staff, because I've had to send individuals there, and I've oftentimes thought about Norman. And so the bottom line is, I know New Horizons, when you talk about, if a person's, I'm Pop Barnes, I have got to see somebody. I don't know what to do. I'm throwing the ball to you, Susan, or to Andrea, and I need you. I'm sick. I was worried. I'm all worked up. I can't even think. I can't do nothing. I need some help.
Well, the wonderful thing is, Pops, is that we have what we call open access, that you don't even have to call the ladies on the call center. And if you want to need some help right now, you come in. It's like the urgent care for mental health. And we'll get you in to see the counselor, go ahead and get you involved with services, and then also schedule a time for you to come in and see the psychiatrist as well. But you can come in right now, no line, no wait.
That's the point I wanted to get across. And that's why I love New Horizons. And I also love Tree of Life. Everybody sees Dr. Nikita Pitts there.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Pitts, talk to them about Tree of Life, how they can contact. I know I've sent many individuals there. No doctor, they're feeling bad. They need to have some relief, their pain. Dr. Pitts, I'm hurting, I need something. Can I come to Tree of Life and get some care?
You can come. We're located at 1968 North Avenue in Columbus. It's easier in terms of logistics. We're right across from the Columbus Research Institute in the parking lot of Piedmont Columbus Regional Hospital. And our hours are Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock until 3 p.m. We are there the second Saturday of every month from 8 o'clock until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're there to, we're faith-based medical clinic to serve the medically underserved and uninsured. So feel free to give us a call at 706-225-0355.
And the reason I want us to take the time, because a lot of times for people, they need that lioness blanket, that warm blanket when they need something that will comfort them. And that's exactly what the two organizations are. And so, okay, Susan, not going to hold you up anymore. This good edutainment that we got here. Maybe want to have like James Brown on all this good information we give you.
It's good stuff, Pops.
Yeah.
It's good stuff here.
We want you to feel good.
Somebody today.
We want you to feel good, right? So some of the signs and symptoms of anxiety and depression overlap with both anxiety or depression. And I'm talking about the anxiety or depression that's rising to the level where you need to seek some help. You'll have sleep disturbance. Maybe with depression, you'll find you're sleeping a lot more. Maybe with anxiety, you're finding that you can't get to sleep. But once you do fall asleep, you wake up. So you're having disturbance of your normal sleep patterns. And everybody should know that it's important for us to get sleep. 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep a night is important. You may have poor concentration, increased fatigue. You may have psychomotor agitation, meaning you're always tapping your leg or tapping your fingers against something. Or your psychomotor skills could slow down. You could have psychomotor retardation and you're not responding as quickly as you could. stress hormones are released. And we know those stress hormones, especially cortisol, are bad for our heart. You could have muscle tension and carry around tension in your shoulders or your back and not understand why. Maybe you're not working out, but you're just tense all the time. And with children, you'll see irritability in children. So those are some of the shared symptoms of anxiety and depression. Now, when it comes to children, there's common responses to trauma in children. And some of us are not thinking as far as the COVID pandemic is a trauma that our children are facing. When people think of trauma, they often focus on physical injuries. However, trauma can be witnessing or experiencing distressing events. Trauma can be caused by natural disasters, including pandemics. And think about it, our children have had their normal lives ripped away from them. They're not going to school anymore. They're at home with their parents 24/7. They're having to do classroom by Zoom, if they even have access to Wi-Fi and electronic equipment. So our children are experiencing a trauma based from the COVID pandemic also. In younger children, you may see that.
Susan?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was just a point to make about the previous slide regarding those symptoms. You know, there are listing of them, but just because we have that list, you don't have to have all of those symptoms to have a diagnosis of depression. Usually, it can be like 5 out of the 9 or 10 or however many you have there, lasting for at least 6 months. And so I just wanted to, make that point that a person, if they feel like, oh, well, I don't have this or this, then I'm okay. But no, you have, about 5 of them at least, lasting at least 6 months. And with the pandemic, we've been in this for a year now, a lot more people are susceptible. And so, it's just a point to make it. If you've had those symptoms for at least about 2 weeks, then those are indicators that you could have a diagnosis of depression. So I just wanted to throw that in. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's excellent.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Yes.
That was a very good point, Dr. Fisher. And everybody knows on this show, one thing that a lot of people say, they say, Pop, you want to know something? Y'all just so relaxed. It's not all this, oh, can you raise your hand to make a statement? Yeah, everybody, we just work all day. Look, you ought to stop, Andre. You ought to stop now.
I have to mess with you.
She always said, hey, look, you already almost ran me to death, so let's ease up on just a little bit, please. No, this show is so relaxed, and it gives information, but that's a very good point. You might have 5, you might have 4, but it's still so. Dr. Fish, you jump on in there anytime you want to, just like Andrea, just like Susan, just like I do. Okay, Susan.
So back to our children, signs and symptoms with our children going through stress could be a little bit different, and it depends on the age of the child too. So you may see that younger children who don't have that emotional vocabulary to tell you what they're going through, they may cling to their parents and caregivers more. They may be crying and tearful. Children could have temper tantrums and be angry or disruptive. Older children may complain of physical problems such as stomach aches or headaches, and that's a physical manifestation of the stress and anxiety that they're going to. You may see children revert to behaviors such as bedwetting and thumb sucking. They may isolate themselves from family and friends. They may refuse to go to bed and start experiencing nightmares and sleep problems, unable to concentrate, lose interest in fun activities. So our children, we need to be looking out for those signs and symptoms of stress and anxiety in our children also, and help them develop the emotional vocabulary to express what they're going through. And part of that too is we as parents and caregivers need to take care of ourselves so we can in turn take good care of our children. So we want to reduce stigma around mental health and addictive disease, because that's one of the biggest problems that we face with having this conversation of courage. There's so much stigma around mental health and addictive disease that we don't talk about it. We don't even talk about it in hushed tones, but we need to talk about mental health. We need to have the conversation, normalize the conversation, and welcome the conversation. Right now, one of the big questions that people are asking each other is, are you okay? We need to ask that question sincerely and fully listen to the response that somebody gives us, because maybe they aren't okay and we haven't taken the time to make time to hear what their response is. So we need to have the conversation, normal the conversation, welcome the conversation. And when we ask somebody, are you okay? We need to listen to the response. And we also need to be able to share when we're not okay. If somebody asks us if we're not okay, share. Well, you know, I've been having trouble sleeping at night, and I'm worried that I might be experiencing bouts of anxiety or depression. Share that with somebody. They may encourage you to get the help you need, to encourage you to talk to your primary health care physician or to seek help from a mental health professional. New Horizons is here to help. And again, our phone number is 706-596-5500. And as Miss Winston said, you can walk in and get the help that you need. We have walk-ins available. So it's okay to not be okay all the time. That's one of the messages I wanted to get across to you. It's okay to not be okay all the time. We're going to have our moments of anxiety. We're going to have our moments of depression. But it's not okay to stay that way. Know when to seek professional help. So it's not okay to be okay. It's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way. There's some local and state and national resources. The Georgia Department of Behavioral Health has the COVID emotional support line. If you just need somebody to talk to, maybe you're isolated at home and you just feel like you need somebody to talk to, you can call 866-399-8938. It's the emotional support line, and it's staffed by trained mental health individuals who will talk to you about if you're feeling anxiety. They're trained to know when you need to maybe seek help from the Georgia Crisis and Access line. And that number is 800-715-4225 when you're going through a crisis. And a crisis has no schedule. I want to encourage you to understand that it's okay to reach out for help. Help is here. Help is available. You shouldn't have to suffer in silence and suffer alone. And lastly, New Horizons is serving as your safety net provider of core behavioral health services to children, teens, adults, and families in Muskogee County and 7 surrounding counties in the Chattahoochee Valley. So ask about our telehealth, ask about our integrated healthcare services. When your coping levels have reached their brink, when your resiliency has faded away, reach out for help, because help is here.
And Susan also mentioned that 211 number.
Oh yes, 211 is the United Way number, and they can get you connected with employment resources, housing resources, food resources, mental health resources, addictive disease resources. So you can call, it's just 211 is the telephone number you can call, and they can help you out. And they know local resources in our area, especially if you need help with food. I know right now a lot of people have been unemployed for a while and the cupboards are getting bare. Contact 211. There's no reason. Columbus is a very giving community. We have the food bank, Feeding the Valley, that has food resources that are available for people. There's also job resources that are available and housing resources that are available through 211.
I think Dr. Pitts was trying to jump in.
Susan, I wanted to, I'm sorry, Susan, I didn't mean to interrupt, but to the point you made previously about checking on others and asking the questions if we are okay. You know, a lot of times a person isn't going to just willingly admit, you know, I'm not
Right.
okay. So it's important for us to check up on one another. That's our mission. And, you know, we're not, you know, we're socially distancing, but we're not socially isolating
Bingo.
ourselves. And unfortunately, that's been the case. And so when we are asking these questions, one thing to remember is not just to ask once. So, okay, you ask a person how they're doing and they may say, okay, you know, I'm not really doing that well, but okay, what happens the next day or two? Are we still willing to go and ask that person, okay, the other day you said you weren't doing that well. Well, okay, are you any better? Are you any worse? What's going on? So we have to take more of an effort to not just ask the question, but sometimes we might have to go a little extra in kind of making certain to, you know, see if that person is still at that same level. And, you know, in talking about suicide, especially, you know, it's something we don't talk about. Even when we think of funerals that we may have attended of people, it's hush hush as to, oh, well, what happened? How did they die? You know, if it was cancer or if it was a heart attack, we're readily able to admit, oh, we know they had a stroke, they had a heart attack, but when it's suicide, and not just in my own family, unfortunately, some years ago, a young cousin of mine who had a child who committed suicide, 12, 13 years old. And, you know, it was like at the funeral, no one's saying anything. And it was just, it's heartbreaking for all of us. And so one thing I'd like to just kind of throw in about suicide and the risk factors for that, think of the just the word sad persons, and one being sex. The male sex, men are more likely to actually go ahead and commit suicide. Women will try more attempts, okay, but men will be the ones to actually succeed more often in committing suicide. So for the S sex, the male sex, A, age, young adults or the elderly, you know, it's kind of like a bimodal distribution of those who will most likely commit it. So the D, depression, as we mentioned earlier. P, again, with the acronym SAD person. So the P is a previous attempt for a person who may have tried. E for ethanol or alcohol or drug use. R stands for like the rational thinking or the loss of rational thinking.
Right.
Okay. We'll kind of consider with psychosis, the rational thinking has been lost. S, sickness, okay, a medical illness kind of predisposes you also because you feel just totally helpless. You're
Right.
sick and you're not getting better. Okay. O, when a person has an organized plan, all right, to actually carry it out. And let's see, the N, when you have no spousal support or no other social network that can kind of help you navigate your life. S is a stated future intent. Okay, so again, you think of sad persons. These are just some things to kind of think about when you're looking at the whole context of suicide and a person actually going through to actually commit it. So it's just something to throw in for people to think about regarding
Yeah,
that.
great point. Great
I mean,
point. Yes.
Dr. Pitts, that was awesome. That's something easy to remember. And here's the one thing to glean from that. Don't just ask. A lot of people are afraid to ask the question. And by the way, you are so consistent on the previous program like this here that came up when you said, but you've got to ask the question. You've got, if you feel it, and this is what I try to tell people, it's like a warm blanket. You don't even have to put your arms around someone when you want someone to know that you care about them. And so if you really care about them, ask those questions that you asked about. How are you feeling? And you ask it more than one time. If you see a person, you know, and you don't have to like point your finger. You can do the I words. You want to know something? I care about you so much, and I'm concerned. How are you? How are you feeling? And that way it's more receptive. I am so glad we have brought so much out of this program because it is so vitally important, and it's also why it's one of the when I go on my what do you call news feed, and I see so many views, and this program, what makes us feel good as a group is the fact that it is viewed by so many different persons all over. And I spoke last week about the lady that called me from Camden. And it is such a blessing, and just from our hearts to theirs, it makes us feel so good to know that we are blessing and helping people in the community. Okay, this has been such an impactful presentation.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to start with the best boss I ever had, Miss Andrea Winston. Last thoughts. We can encapsulate in just a minute as an outdoor one this year.
Yes. I think that, we have done a really good job this morning of lifting the veil and removing the stigma attached to things that people would not talk about. Like Dr. Pitts says, when somebody commits suicide, nobody talks about it. And that we do need to have these conversations, especially with our children. We need to talk with them about what depression is and how to prevent it. And, especially my children, I've got some kids in college, and I really talk with them a lot about stress. And, you don't ever want to get into a situation where you feel trapped, overwhelmed, and, that you're already predisposed to that from some hereditary lines in your family and what it's about. So please continue to have conversations, check on other people, and know that if a person is depressed, they may not be able to tell you what's going on with them, and that you've been educated now and edutained about the signs and symptoms, and sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands and work to get help for people, because you don't ever want to hear, like Dr. Pitts says, that somebody has taken their life into their own hands because they no longer felt hope. They felt that they were in such a state of despair, down the rabbit hole in darkness, as I describe it, that they no longer felt the attachment of your love or your relationships. And so please be aware that now you know how to recognize the warning signs and symptoms, and please take action. And if you have any suspicions about somebody, that's what we're here to do. Call us, and we'll help you formulate a plan of how to help your loved one.
And Dr. Pitts?
Oh, piggyback on what Andrea said, and we live this life. We're in community. We're not alone, and so we're to act accordingly. We leave a place or a person better than the way we found it, and I think that's we kind of live our lives like that. Then it helps all of us, and so. Again, we're here to help, but again, we're socially distanced, but not socially isolated. And we, just can't keep that,
Susan?
Yes, so just reiterating that we need to stop stigmatizing the brain. It is an organ like any other organ in the body. And if we are experiencing difficulties with our brain health, we need to take care of it just as we would take care of the health of any other organ in our body.
And I would like to say, I want to thank you, Andrea, Dr. Pitts, and Susan. This has been such a informative, and here's the biggest thing, necessary, because you want to know something? All of us are going through emotional changes right now. All of us are. And that's why I believe this, the previous presentation was so impactful, and why this one, I think, even going to be even more, because we've even brought more into the conversation right here. And Andrea, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you, Dr. Pitts, and I want to thank you, Susan, for all the things that you've said, the contributions to our viewers, which I know is really beneficial. And to our Facebook viewers, I want to say, we're not going to stop coming to you, giving you information like this, because we love you. And we want you, God, every day that the good Lord gives you is a good day. It's a marvelous day. And it's a program that I watch, Shepherd's Chapel. It says every day is a good day, no matter what happens to you, because the good Lord has thought whatever the Lord does is good. So when the Lord gives you a day, it's a good day, no matter what you might be going through. And you just heard about there's always, always, always help. And so as I always end the program, always, and that's why I do it. We love you. We look forward to giving you all the good information we can because of that. And so until next time, please be good and kind to yourself. And always remember, it's because God loves you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
And if